It looks like I might not have audio on. Yeah, I become a little bit rusty on this one. So let's start again. Let's start again if we miss this part. Let's see. All right, audio. So we're back. It was a test. It was a test. All right. There was a test. Let's see now. Audio should be on. Working out. Great. That was a test. And this is the test. Yeah, we everything works. Thanks so much for testing my microphone. So let's do it one more time. One more time today with one more time with Phil this time. So welcome to Quan YouTube channel. Maybe also you're watching this on the Quan LinkedIn. Maybe also you're watching this on the Quan Twitch, or maybe you're watching the Quan Twitter, or maybe you're watching somewhere else. But wherever you are, thank you. So where is the chat window? I want to see wherever everyone is coming from. So since we get the test, I love to test the things where the things are not working as expected. So meaning that there are some people in the audience. Great. So let's write down in the comments. Let's write down in the comments where you're coming from. So I'm coming from East Coast of United States, New Jersey, and actually I don't know what's the weather outside. And yeah, so write down in the comments where you're coming from. Okay, so we do have a few people. Dahlia is coming from London, so let me fix that the comment window. Let's make it this not that big. So we have lots of people from UK. Great. Carl from Tartu. I have a few friends in Tartu, Carl. Great. Where we have a Sloan. Also, I have a few friends in Denver, Colorado. It's great to have you here today. Okay, so a few people from India. Well, Malaysia. All right, great, awesome. It's great to have everyone here. So yep, we start this with a little bit of drama. So let's continue. Like I said, it's live streams. Things might not work. Things definitely will break at some point. But yeah, that's how we do it. So if you're first time, who is the first timer? So if you're first time watching this, somehow you saw this in the advertisement somewhere. Also write down in the comments if you're a first timer. If you're regular, also write down in the comments. I want to know if you're regulars here. So how many of you been in the stream for the first time? Okay, so Karen for the first time. Yes, apparently Liam is also first timer because he doesn't know. But all the streams are recorded and available on Quan YouTube channel that you can subscribe today and enable notifications so you can see all stuff that we do there. That's how we roll. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. So, Dominic, for the first time, welcome. And 𝗺𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃 for the second time. Great. I don't know, you guys. I love doing these live streams because it allows to connect with the audience, of live audience, with the people who around the world. That's pretty cool. A few people also for the first time. So for the first timers, let me explain you what the heck is going on here. So Con Builders, it is we're trying to keep this maybe like a once in 2 weeks. Sometimes we're doing this like every week. Sometimes we're doing this with the longer breaks. And in Con Builders, we are I and the people who I invite to talk, building some cool stuff. Sometimes it's me, sitting here and showing some of the cool things around the con. Sometimes I inviting some guests, and on the YouTube channel that we mentioned, you can find all the previous recordings of the con builders. There is a playlist of the con builders. Actually, let me quickly show you where you can find this. And where's my browser? And going into this one. So if you go to Con Inc. YouTube channel, you can find all of the recordings. You can find the playlists of the tutorials and some of the stuff that we are doing here. So you can find everything Kong related. Now, in the Kong builders, what I like to do is to build stuff. That's why builders. And we were brainstorming some of the ideas. I like to go in Kubernetes and do some cool stuff with Kong Ingress controller and some other things. But some of my teammates, they would throw these ideas and, hey, so what about to start the year from like clean slate, like just like doing bare bones introduction, but the first time Kong, you never touched the Kong before, you don't know what is this and how you can get started and how it would be beneficial. So that's why we're doing this today. So today is going to be like for very beginners. You never touched the Kong before, so there's no like stupid questions. There's no questions that I would not be able to answer. Again, if I don't know answer right now, maybe I will return in 2 weeks and give you the different answer. So agenda for today. My goal is to show you how you can get started with Kong on your local machine. And maybe if this would be successful, this stream would be successful, and a lot of people will get some good feedback. We'll continue to explore this. Maybe we're gonna go to the cloud or the VMs to install Kong somewhere. Maybe even integrate this with Connect, which is another cool tool that we built here at Kong. So sounds good. Can we have some thumbs ups in the chat if you agree with the current agenda, or if you don't, maybe you have different ideas. Maybe you have some other questions and you want to me to explore those. So while I'm waiting, we'll switch to my screen and we're gonna go with the stuff. All right. So I don't see many thumbs down, so I think we're good at this point. Okay, awesome. So the easiest and there's multiple different ways how you can get started with Constant. To matter of fact, if you go into documentation, which is docs.conghq.com, just docs. And when you go with the Kong gateway documentation, and you can find in the like installation, you can find the ways how you can install Kong everywhere. So the cool thing about the Kong, regardless where you are, you can install Kong everywhere. That's very cool thing. So what is Kong? Like before even jumped into the things, Kong, what we call it is a API gateway. So for this, let me bring my my drawing board. So usually you have user that calling your API, your service, right? And when user calls this, it can be REST, or it can be gRPC, or some other protocols, and your service will give you a response. So this is the simplest possible way how we can explain you an API. Your service may be something that you develop or something that's developed by other teams. So over the time, when you're growing the service, when you are developing some of the pieces functionality for your service, you need to either continue to add more functionality inside the service, like you can enable security and integrate with some sort of external single sign-on providers, adding some of the reliability and connection reliability features like rate limiting, to make your service more resilient, and so some other features. And you have two choices basically. One of the choices is to go and implement here, or put something in between, some of the piece of infrastructure that will help you to deal with some of the some of the concerns that we just explained. So this is exactly what API Gateway does. API Gateway. And let's put this like this. My drawing is rusty. I will improve this very soon. So API gateway allows to be a proxy between you, as a user of API, and or API consumer, and actual underlying service. And all these features with security, and the features with the connection reliabilities and all these kind of things can be handled. Oh, I'm sorry. Can be handled here. So the traffic from your user, HTTPS, can be encrypted. So request and response would be encrypted, but between gateway and service, not necessarily for performance reasons or for whatever. Also, your service doesn't have to implement all these features itself, because gateway can enable this. And this is going to be, we're going to be focusing on this intermediary. So this intermediary is Quan. Quan itself is open source project, and it is probably one of the widely adopted API gateways out there. So if we go into Quan GitHub, we'll see there's like a 33,000 stars and stuff like that. So quite popular thing. And like I said, installation can be done through the multiple ways. So I'm using macOS, for example. If I will just do brew search, and I will just do Quan, and I most likely will find a bunch of stuff, but one of the things that it's already installed, it's the Quan. If I'll just do brew info Quan, so in this case, it will give me information that it's the open source microservice and API gateway. This is if you're running this in macOS. I know not many people running macOS. You can just brew install Quan and you will be good to go. But I'm gonna use different approach. So if I will just do Docker PS, I do have a Docker installed in, and I think we can agree. Oh, not PS version. I think we can agree that the Docker is ultimate tool for distributing software. We're going to be focusing on the Docker, so you will be able to do all the commands that I am doing today. You will be able to do those in whatever operating system you're running, macOS, with Linux, even Windows. So I have a Docker desktop installed. You might have a success with other Docker implementations. I'm going to stick to the classic one. So that's the only one prerequisite for this. And essentially, if you even go and search if you go into Docker Hub and trying to find the Quan, you can find that there's a community supported Quan image. So essentially, it's even like a top level. So if I will just do Docker run Quan, it will download this image and will execute something. And apparently there's something is missing. But let's see, Docker PS, nothing. So probably started. Couldn't find the connection to database and disconnected. We're gonna fix that. And let's see what official image says how to do this. So back in the day, like few I don't know, like year ago, I recorded a Quan Docker tutorial, and it should be quite popular, installing Quan API gateway on Docker. If you want to check this out, you can check this out. This is like a very low level. I want to show you today much better way to how to do this. And to do this, I'm going to introduce you to a thing called Quan getting started. This is the piece of documentation that you can follow along. Some of the things that I will be building here also will be available. So I saw there's a bunch of comments here. So Sergey is asking, so Quan does also TLS termination. Yes, Quan can do that. And this is one of the like bread and butter use cases of doing this with Quan. How can Docker communicate with each other in JIT? I need to have a little bit more information. Maybe you're talking about different containers inside one Docker network, how they can communicate to each other. So essentially, different containers have when in Docker you can create a network, the virtual network, and inside those virtual network, different containers can communicate to each other. They will be able to discover each other and things like that. So Sergey also expressing some of the love for Lua. Yes, Quang is okay. So let me explain a little bit on the Quang side of things. So let me remove this, and I'm going back here. So Quang is open source project that based on 2 or 3 probably so essentially it based on the open source project called OpenResty. So OpenResty started as a Nginx module that allows to do some of the scripting using Lua inside Nginx. But over the time, it grew into something bigger. So OpenResty itself, it's a whole-blown framework, and the runtime that uses Lua JIT is a execution environment for Quang and Quang plugins. So Quang uses Nginx underneath, some of the bits of Nginx running inside the Quang, OpenResty to handle all the things dealing with Lua, and some other things. So we're not gonna go deeper into the bits of this like plugins today. Again, in a Quang YouTube channel, I already did the stream where we were talking about how to write Lua plugins for Quang. It was last year. I had the Thijs, and he helped me to write this. So we're gonna focus on the getting started. So nothing. never there was no situation when you just can download the script from internet and run this on your computer. So that's what we're going to be doing this today. So in order to run the Quang, there's a getting started script. So what it will do, it would download this particular script. It will start Quang and start some of the dependencies for the Quang, and after that we will explore what we have here. The cool thing is, so this script also speeds up some of the logs, and we can explore what do we have here. So Quang can run in different modes. One of the simplest modes, what we called DB-less or database-less. Again, I explain in details some of the differences in some of the previous videos, but in general, there's a way how the Quang store configuration. It can be stored in file, and during the startup of this database-less mode, it will read this configuration file and materialize it into the Quang configuration. It's different services, different routes. We're going to talk about this in a second. And that's it. That's going to be one process, and it would be more than enough for many people. In a case when you need to have a more persistent configuration, so the configuration of the Quang routes, Quang services, and plugins, and all these kind of things, you also might want to run Quang in so-called database mode. And for database mode, we're going to be using the Postgres. So in this example, in this getting started guide, in this getting started script, we're going to be using the Postgres mode. So it will be storing some of the Quang configurations, and it will start Quang. When this script will finish executing, it will speed up some of the important information that you're going to be using, just something that you need in order to explore Quang. So it will start 2 services. One service will be serving your traffic. That's what we called a data plane endpoint, meaning that all your user requests will go to data plane endpoint, and when we will configure in different routes and services, this is the URL we're going to be using. Also, admin API available for users to explore what is going on there. So we're going to be using admin API to configure some of the services. We're going to be using this, and we're going to be talking to this admin API. Also, being a good script, being a good citizen, script provides you the way how you can clean up after yourself. And in this case, we can run this command to clean up everything. So returning to question that I get from the under JIT about how those two communicate to each other. So essentially, we have 2 containers that running inside. 2 containers that run inside one Docker network, and one container going to be Postgres. So let's explore this a little bit. Let's do. I have the utility called ctop. Like you have a top utility, you have a htop. Ctop is for containers. So I have two containers running here. One container is for database, and one container for Quan gateway, and they're talking to each other through this configuration. So our database will be discoverable for using name Quan Quick Start Database. So when the Quan will start, it will try to connect to this Quan Quick Start Database to the port P5432, and so things will work. And Quan gateway, let's see if I'll just do single view, and so with the environment variables, I'm passing inside the Quan configuration that Quan Quick Start Database. This is where I want to connect. So this is how they connect basically. All right, so let's see. Very good question. So for which case we should use Postgres or DEC? I think we should be the performance distinctions. I love that. I love that question, Mert. Every time when someone brings performance, it brings joy to my heart. So it's not either or, like one or another. So there's a two ways how you can configure. It's just the matter of how you want to deal with your configuration. Going forward, I think in the future streams, I also will explore some other deployment options, specifically like a hybrid mode, or maybe even with connect mode. But essentially, the question here. Let me bring this back. Yes, so DEC uses the configuration from a YAML file. So I don't think it's all about performance, to be frank. So when I said the basically you're running Quan with the 2 modes. If you don't need to database, you will be quite all right with running Quan and predefined configuration file. It's totally fine. And as a matter of fact, if you want to have immutable kind of like environment where no one wants to change anything, this is the way to go. So you have a predefined configuration file. You start the Quan with this configuration file, and if you need to change something, you change configuration file, you bounce your Quan, and you will be able to continue. In many cases, it is more than enough. In many cases, it's not flexible enough in order to perform tasks. So that's why we have a database in place. So again, going forward, we're going to be talking about in the hybrid mode, where you don't, as a user, you don't need to worry about actual database, because database will be maintained by control plane, and your configuration will go in from the control plane, and control plane will be responsible to updating this configuration. So that's my kind of like short answer. Yeah, probably image is rather old, but it is for just for a quick start. But we definitely can. Let me see single view. So it uses 9.6. Yeah, we probably can update this demo, or you can submit your PR to this repository. At the end, I will also share a link where you can find the source of this script. But yeah, good point, Carl. Thank you so much. So will 𝗺 discover changes in config file, say mounted volume and safe reload? So not in DB-less mode. So if you're running this with in a database-less mode, you pretty much you settled on the config file. When you're running this in database mode, you will be using tool like deck to update this configuration, so you can have your config, and after that reload this. Yeah. Okay. So going next. So we have a conk. So let's explore what do we have here. And obviously for me, not obviously for you, I will be using Insomnia. Insomnia, it's another open source tool that we developed at Conk, and I highly recommend you to explore if you haven't seen this before. I love the Insomnia. I use this in all my demos. So let's explore Conk configuration. What do we have here? When we run this config, when we run the script, what this script also will tell you, if you want to see some of the stuff from here, not from here, it's in documentation. If we want to go into and explore what do we have here, so let's start with something simple. Let's start like by hitting the two endpoints. We do have a, and by the way, this script actually generated environment file. So if I want to have this like environment variable, I just need to source this file, and after that I will be able to do something like this. If I'll just do source conk env, and after that I will be able to do http conk conk proxy, where is it? Conk proxy. I'm getting the response from conk, and I'm getting this good old no routes match to these values, which is shows that the conk is up and running. Also, if I will just do conk and there was a conk admin. So when I hit the admin API, it speeds up a JSON that includes configuration file. So let's explore what do we have here. So I already have the nice thing about Insomnia, that Insomnia also supports this kind of templates for my URLs. In this particular case, my admin-based URL and proxy-based URL will be configured based on environment. And in this environment, it's my kind of like a local environment, and I have a admin host and data plane host configured here. So I can use just a variable in my call. So when I call this admin URL, I will get the response from similar to what I get here. But the beauty of Insomnia that I can use some of the built-in features to navigate through the response. So in this particular case, let me just remove this. That's the huge JSON that I need to either use search to find this, even though search is also here. So if I go here and just do search, say, I don't know, the version, and it speeds up the version here. But I also can navigate through here and just do the thing like this. sorry, something like this. So in this case, the Insomnia has built-in JSON path navigation. But configuration, I'm interested in configuration. So that's configuration that I have from this admin API. And there's a bunch of interesting things. For example, let's see database, DB something. Boom, 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 boom. And where is it? Database. Postgres. So we can see what kind of database is used for configuration. We use Postgres. There's a bunch of location of different logs, so we can get everything what you need to know, everything what you want to know, how the conc is running, and all the configuration parameters are here. Say I want to do open telemetry. Open telemetry, for example, open telemetry is built inside the conc, so but it by default is off. So we're going to be exploring this as well in this series as well. So now conc is up and running. Another cool thing about this getting started script that I actually use a lot. So if I will just say, Docker. Let me bring the Docker UI. Let me see if it says. No, cannot. Okay, we're gonna be using console then. Single view. Screen is too small. Okay. So in the single view, I also see what kind of image I use. I use Alpine Image because Alpine Image includes. If I'm going here inside the conc and I just do conc gateway, and we go with tags, and the reason why I'm using Alpine is, where is it? 3131 Alpine, because it also includes the ARM64. Oh, nice. So we're getting very popular because we start getting some of the spams in our chat, which is pretty cool. I think this is the success, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see. Where is it? What I was talking about while I was interrupted. Yeah, so it includes ARM64 and AMD64. So I like to, I'm running the Mac, and the Mac includes, my Mac has a M1 architecture, which is ARM-based, and I want to run this. But if I want to run different version of this, not Alpine, I actually can change this in a script. So if I go into my script, so let me kill this and show you Docker. So this command will kill everything. So if I will just do get and show you help. So this script actually includes some of the configuration parameters that you can change. You can put different image of Quant. And I can change the different image registry if you're running Quan. If you have some sort of like images where you want to modify, so you can run this with this quick start script and modify those. Now, one of the things that I can do to be more explicit is provide some of the environment variables. So say if I want to do this get, say -t allows me to define a tag for Docker image, and e environment variable to allow me to enable open telemetry. So if I will run this, again, it speeds up the output into this log file. And when the conc will be ready, we can explore this in a second using same configuration. So we're going to call this endpoint and explore configuration. And let's see. OpenTelemetry is enabled. Now the configuration was passed. So you can use this getting started script. I highly recommend to start using this for all things you're doing with Quan. It is really cool, and let us know what you think about this. And let's see how you like it. So now you have a Quan up and running. So what you can do with this? So you can do things around. Let's explore this. Which is bringing my screen. Now, so with this, we have a service that we need to be invoking. We're going to be using some of the external service that I didn't write. And we need to find a way how we can get access to this service. So the way how it's done in the Quan gateway. So we do have a Quan here. So we have a Quan. We have an external service, and we have a API caller. So in order to configure this inside the Quan, we need to define service, also known as upstream. So when the Quan needs to communicate to the service, we need to define this somewhere in service. And the second thing that we need to configure for a particular service is route. So route is something that my service, something that this API consumer will be invoking. So we need to configure two things: service and route. Service, again, will be representation of the underlying upstream service, and the route, the way how we can invoke this. Just for fun, I'm going to be using this free API that produces different wows that Owen Wilson. Write down in the comments if you don't know who's Owen Wilson and why his wow are so popular, and why it is require some sort of like API server. It is API server that that we're going to be proxying, that we're going to be configuring. So I call it a wow service. So inside my Insomnia, I need to call my admin API with endpoint services. So if I will call this, let's see, just if I will call this without anything, so there's nothing is here, so we'll just do admin-based API services. It returns me a list of empty list. Oops, sorry. It returns me empty list with services because nothing is configured here. So next thing that I will submit a post request to same URL with two parameters. I will define them as a form request, and the wow service is going to be my name and my URL that this service will be using. So when I send this and go back again here and call the get service, I will see the data of this service. So I will see that there's one service is configured. Now I configure the service. Now how I can invoke this service? Now, in this case, I need to create a route. So to create a route, I need to hit this services / name of the service / routes URL and define a URL that will available for me to call it. So when I go in here, now the path is available. So if I will go and call this service one more time, what I will see here is it's supposed to be returning the path object for me as well, like a route. But let's call it. Let's call the service. If I will go and say we're gonna be using proxy-based URL, now we're switching from the admin API to actual data plane. And if I will call just empty, I will get good old no routes much to these values. But our route was configured to use this /wow. So if I'll do wow, I get the wow from I get the wow from I don't know this. I don't know this movie either. Midnight in Paris by Woody Allen, and we get exact image of the poster of this movie, but also we will get a video. So let's see how we can use this API. So I'm using a little bit of command line magic. So I'm gonna be calling this the wow endpoint, extracting the audio that will be included inside the response. So let's play around with this. So we're gonna get the what was the 0. So, and this is gonna make a sound. Hopefully my my thing is working. So let's see if my VLC looks like updated. So it will take a second to start the VLC and play this audio file. That is embarrassing, but hey. Okay, so we got the wow. I don't know if you heard this. Let's do it one more time. Okay, hopefully you heard this. Let's see if my system audio is actually going into right place. I don't feel that you heard this. Secondary. Yeah, you should be able. So write down in the comments if you heard this wow. Let's do it one more time. Okay, cool. So it works. So essentially, we can do multiple other cool things here. For example, so since it's the API that we're calling is invoking some external service, what we actually can do here, we can on the API gateway side of things here, we can also implement cache. So next time when we need to call the same API, we can return the cached value for this. So let's do this. Yeah, I need to play around with the sound routing on my computer and see how it works, and so other people will hear it. So we talk about the services and routing. This is the better picture that I had in terms of how the services and routes are working. So this is the API consumer that calls particular route, and this route will be invoke the service. That's what we did. We called this /wow service, and we called Owen Wilson route. And the different routes are can be used with different protocols, methods, and things like that. So you can find this. Now, let's talk about caching. So the beauty of Quan is obviously it is super powerful, it's super performant, and but the actual power comes with plugins. So we will enable proxy caching plugin. So we're gonna do new request. I call it proxy caching plugin. We're gonna hit admin, and code completion also works here. Plugins. We're gonna get this to post request. It's gonna be post. We're gonna do a form, and we're gonna go with name proxy cache. We add the config request method get. So every time when we get calling the get request, we're gonna do this. Just do this one. We do config response code. We return 200. Let's see what else. Content application JSON naturally. Because we're gonna calling some of the API and we want to return same content type. Cache 30 seconds, I guess. It's gonna be 30 seconds. And we're gonna use memory. Kong actually supports different storages. It supports Redis. It supports, I think it's even supports Hazelcast or something like that. So let's see. We created the plugin created. So instance, so multiple different plugins. Let me show you one more time. So if I will go into, if I go to admin base URL, and we'll go here, and I'll just do configuration plugins. So let's do search because I don't remember exactly. So there's a bunch of plugins that are loaded, meaning that they're available for consumption, but they're not created. So we did not create an instance of this plugin. So when I call this with the caching plugin, I created actual instance of the plugin. So if I will do something like, let's do get. So if I will just do, say, get plugins and delete all, so it will give me give me response with the plugin that configured already here. So we configured plugin. Now we need to attach the plugin to particular requests and see if this actually works. So I created this global plugin and enabled this for everything. So every time when I will be calling my own Wilson API, so for example, let's do get request, we just get back to our proxy base, we just do /wow. So let's see if it's actually going through the conc. So we see that it's actually came from conc, and this is conc generated a key for this cache, and it says cache status miss. So when I click this next time, response came immediately, and there's no upstream latency because it was not invoked any extra here. And as a result, we also have a iSpy response. So let's see if I will be able to. So now every time when I try to invoke this, it calls me because it was different client. So it was not Insomnia. It was based on a different client that give me different cached result from Wedding Crashers movie. So that's, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Tony. Pretty much. Pretty much. All right. Yeah, so it served this directly from memory, and the output was, immediate. And again, this was done by just simply configuring things. Again, you don't implement this as a part of the application. And more importantly, I used just some external API that I didn't write. I hope, yeah. So see the 30 seconds rolling window already passed. So we start getting new response for this. So that's something that you can do with the gateway. Now with another option that the people like to do this, use gateway for, is to enable some sort of like authentication and authorization. So handling some of the responsibilities that we can run this like some other teams are running infrastructure for supporting our users, and we don't want to implement this as a part of our application. So this is where we need to introduce our another interesting concept, another interesting component that that runs inside the Quan. This component known as a consumer. So, okay, bring me my drawing board again. So when we're running this service, let's do this one more time. When you run this service by yourself, say you have your service and you have your service. With this, you can provide some additional header information in order to do something with this service. Specifically, you can provide some of the authentication key in order to invoke this particular API. But there are some cases where you need to handle this somewhere in between. In this particular case, you handle this on the gateway side of things, and those, say, headers and those requests would be different from different API client. What also you want to do, maybe there's somewhere in between, there's a third-party service that we need to authenticate against. So maybe somewhere here we have like some Active Directory, or we have some sort of like Open ID or IDC Connect provider somewhere here that needs to authenticate the things first. And as we promised, we want to delegate this type of communication to gateway, not to API client. So for this, on the gateway side of things, we have this concept of a consumer. So consumer will be kind of like representing the API client inside the gateway. So delegating some of the stuff that will be happening here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna hit this consumers, and we will create a username, say Luca, but we will be a little bit more creative, right? We're gonna do not the proxy, we just do admin host. We just do say consumers. Do we have consumers? We're gonna do, say, see, we don't have any consumers. Now we need to create a consumer, say name of the username, and we call it Victor. So when I send this, so we do have a username, Victor. Now we need to enable, next thing is that we need to enable key off for Victor. So key off is the name of the plugin that we're going to be using. And so if I will just do consumers / and I'll just do key off, and we'll say key, and just say I don't know, super secret. We're gonna add this one here, and let's enable a global key for simplicity. So we're going into plugins. So we're going into plugins. We're gonna be enabling key off plugin. So I'll just do name. Just do key off plugin, and key names. API key. And let's see. We'll just do enable this plugin. Plugin is on. So let's see if we will be able to run to run the service one more time. So if I will go here and say proxy based URL, if I run, wow. Now you see there's no API available in the request. Now, because, oh, sorry. Okay, and it needs to be get, sorry. Again, no API key found in request. So in this case, we need to path this as our header. So I will gonna do here header, and I don't need this. I don't need this either, and I will just add API key. And I will be using different API. My API key would be super secret. So when I call this, I was able to get a response from Quan. And as we can see here, state is the caching still working. So if I will just call it one more time, I get the hit. So I enable this key authentication for all these things. So yeah, that's the thing that you can do. All right, so let's see, what do we have here. So can you use Quan UI tool for Quan community? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. And more importantly, you also can use Quan manager, even if you're running this in a free mode. So when you run this in, let's see if it's enabled, because it might be not enabled. So Quan manager localhost 8082. So localhost 8082. And Quan manager is available for free if you're running this Quan gateway in the free mode, meaning that you're not running this and you don't have any license available. It will ask you to, if you want to upgrade, blah blah blah. And let's see, this is the Quan manager available through this UI. So if you're using this script that I just showed you with this get Quan HQ with a quick start, so you will be able to also play around with Quan builders. This is what we configured. This is our service we configured. This is a route that we configured today. This is a WoW route. We configure a consumer for our service that will be assigned a key. And we also configured key off plugin, and we configured cache plugin. And some of the vital things will be enabled if you will be putting license, but right now it runs in a free mode. So that's what you can do with this. So I hope you enjoyed this stream. I hope you like this. If you like this, just like I'm accepting payments in the form of likes and subscriptions. Also, comments in meaningful comments in YouTube. As always, you can also follow me on Twitter while this social network is still there. Follow me there. Send DM. Ask the question. Don't forget to subscribe to our updates in the Quan YouTube channel. Follow us in LinkedIn. Follow us in Twitch, Twitter, and wait for new episodes. The next episode we're gonna be announcing soon. Maybe we're gonna be announcing this week. I will be bringing my friend and one of the Quan champions. And for the next Quan builder episode, we're going to be talking about stuff. And after that, week after, I will continue to explore this quick start stuff. Maybe I will show you how we can enable. I was planning to show you today, but like we're running a little bit out of time. I wanted to show you how Quan enables open telemetry, so you can explore this thing. Last question from Sergey. So I have a bunch of services behind the API gateway. Each service exposes a open API JSON. Can Quan automatically collect all of them to present in a single developer portal? It sounds like it's very like specific question. We can talk about this we can talk about this maybe in a future episode, but in general, yes, you should be able to do this. There's a OpenAPI validation plugin. You can upload OpenAPI spec to developer portal. All this cool stuff. Write in the comments if you want to see this as well in future episodes. We're gonna be doing this if we're gonna see developer portal is not working because it's not enabled for my use case. But yeah, this is a very cool use case, and we're gonna be yeah, we're gonna see. We bring your questions. Like my point is, Quant builders should be not just the Viktor like doing his stuff, but something that people asking Viktor to do, and Viktor will do and show how it's possible with Quan. All right. So cool. Carl, can you what are you talking about? Because I'm receiving some of the questions and looks like I'm losing some of the context, and I'm not sure what are we talking about. Like a control, yeah. Oh yeah, 2 watches. Yes, that's what I do. Long story. Come to next time and ask story about 2 watches because it's cool and I'm a huge dork. With this, my name is Viktor Gamov, and as always, have a nice day.